Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to talk about Figma. I remember last time we had challenges with our network, trying to do this in real time as we were doing a call. So today, our task is going to be a bit simple. So for those who don't have Figma accounts, who create those accounts, they will just search for figma.com, create an account, and then be able to log in. So given that we may have an account, so we're going to create a design file. This is where we're going to be designing our screens. And then shall choose the device type that we want to design for. And then, excuse me, we shall design uh, two screens just to try to bring the idea home and then see how we can invite people, see how we can prototype the screens and then demo the prototype, and as well as see how we can share the prototype. So why design is key. Design helps you to visualize how whichever application you're working on will look like once it is developed. So it is a key step in software development. And why is that? And then web development and mobile development is that it helps you to really visualize what you intend to develop. If you're developing for a customer or client, uh, you can also demo this to the client and you get to get their feedback at that time before you jump into writing a lot of code. So what this saves you is not to do iterations on an actual uh, uh, software that has been developed. So it is key that always first visualize your application before you start development. As take an instance of like the architects in civil engineering, they first visualize the actual building or structure before they go ahead to develop it, because the cost of adjusting a design once it is built is much more than when it is adjusted during the designs that are made. So it is always better. And I urge you, as you venture into your programming career, uh, please always first design your platforms end to end. Uh, as we shall see in the subsequent tutorials that will be shared, that apart from designing on the UI, we shall see that we shall also design the actual system, the architecture of the system, the ERDs, the class diagrams, the sequence diagrams, the flowcharts, and those help us to really visualize the end-to-end process of an entire application before we embark on development. That would save us time, um, that will save us the frustration, and that will help us develop robust, secure, resilient, and applications that people can trust. So that said, I think it's time now we jump into Figma. So I will just pull up the screen quickly, and with this screen that we are looking at now, you see that we are going to first of all design a file. So when you move to designing a file, my option is here, but you can find yours somewhere else, and this could be attributed to me having a lot of things here on my browser. So I'll click on this. So now on design file. So when I click on design file, you will see that I have now a fresh new screen that appears here. So with this new screen, it is a blank screen, but we're going to use it to design. I have a theme that is black. yours might be somewhat white, but yeah, don't worry about that. So we move our cursor to this icon, and when we click on this icon, there is an option for frame. So when we click on frame, but as well, I might maybe quickly change this color to this so that it is a bit light. So when I move to this, I click on frame, and then when I click on frame, you see now on the side of the design here, I have options to choose the frames. What do I want to design for? Do I want to design for a phone? And among the phones, this is what we have. We'll have a couple of phones here, iPhones, Androids, as well. We have tablets. What do I want to design for? Tablets. Professional designers, of course, when they are coming up with a design, they design for all these different frames: the phone, the tablet, then the desktop, which represents the web. And then when they share that, the developer is in position to adjust that application to fit in all of those. But I will quickly choose MacBook Pro 14. And then the moment I choose that, you see that now I have a frame here. So it is this frame that we are going to design in, and this represents your actual screen that you might be looking at on your desktop, on your mobile, whatever. So this is it. And we are going to just do a basic, as it is a purpose for learning. We are going to quickly do a basic design. We are going to create two screens quickly, and they won't be very fancy, but I believe it will cover most of the pieces that we need. Before we do anything, first of all, you see that we have the name is MacBook Pro 14.1. So, and that appears here. So let's first change this and we call it home page. So because this is going to be our home page that people will see first when they come to our web application website that we are designing. So when we have this, we are going first of all to introduce what we call the grid. So what the grid helps us, it helps us to very well position all the items on this very screen that we're working on. So now move your cursor, come to the option where there are layouts, and click on these four dots. So when we click on those four dots, you find that it will tell you that there are no grids for now. So the option will be to create a style. Come back, then we have the option here for the grid. We can click on this, and then having this here, it shows that we have the grid, which is covering, it is like sort of a square row by column, but we might want to only have either rows or columns. So if we choose just the columns, we shall now have one running from the top to bottom. And having this, it has a count of 5, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we might want to put in some bit of gutter. So the gutter is the space that is within this. It can be upon you, and you'll be like, I'll increase mine to be this, which is still also okay. Might want to put in some margin, and you'll be like 20. So when you put in the margin of 20, you see that we are having some space at the extreme end. So you can use this space to really design content that is within, and we shall cross this. So when you move back to the grid we've created, there's an option where you can toggle either to see it or not to see it. So what this helps you is that as you design, it's quite hard to really understand what you are designing when you have the gutters in. So whenever you want to visualize how it looks like, you click here, then disappears. You see that, okay, my design is in position, then you turn it back on. Okay, that is a feature that is in there. So for now, let's get to it. So we shall start by picking a rectangle here, and we are going to put this at the top up here. And as soon as we have it here, we're going to quickly come here and give it some background. forgive. This is much as this is understanding Figma. It is not mainly designing session as you would assume, but it is just basically to understand Figma. So my design might not look very nice for that matter. So now I have this at the top. If I go back to my screen, this one that we are dealing with, and I try to toggle, you see that now I have this bar at the top. Usually you see these bars being shown on most of the sites that you visit. So let's turn back on, and then we want to have some text in our bar. But before we do that, you might want to have quickly, let's first come to the first one, and we rename it. We call it the nav bar, like that. So now this one, let's call it login button. That what we've named is this. We want to call it a login button. So might decide and be like our login button will be bigger. So now we are leveraging the grids we created there, and we might change it to be, let's say we can give it a color of say blue, somewhat blue. It's sure? I don't think so. Okay, let's move it to a color of, yeah, not very nice, but we can work with this. Then let's bring in some text here. So we come back here, we pick the text, bring the text here, we say login, and with this text we've brought, we can come here and adjust the text. Say it is the regular, we can put it to medium, we can adjust its size, give it 28. Quickly we can adjust the rectangle that encompasses this text. Then we can move to this icon and we center that text. We can even increase this to 40. We can change to turn it to bold, and can also expand this quickly. And then when we do that, we come back to this and then we center. So we have now a login in the center. So as you can see quickly, we have that done. But yeah, so we can now try to disable. When you click back to this, we can disable and see how our application look like. So that's how it will look like after you've designed that upper end. But we would want to have some other tabs where people would click, and this we can have it as home. Then I can quickly adjust this back to maybe 16, regular, and raise this to 20, and so I can now do a Control D or Command D on Mac to replicate this, and I can have 3 of these that I can hold at once with a shift. With a shift, then I can, yes, my bad, quickly can hold this with a shift, and then I can decide to move them to a position I feel is better. And I can say, okay, this is better. So I can have home, have gallery, then I can have about like that. So let's quickly check. If I remove everything, so now you can see that we have something like this. Not looking so nice, but we can work with it. So let's quickly make a copy of this by using Control D. So we have now a copy. It has been deprecated. We drag it, we move it down. We are saying this is going to be our footer, but it should touch all ends. So for this, we can just quickly adjust its height, and then we might change its color to somewhat black, act as our footer. Then yeah, you can decide to have a couple of sections here. It would be like contact us being there. So then we can duplicate this. Remember, as I mentioned, it is always okay to work with a grid. So let's put our grid back on to see where we are positioning these things. Okay, so now we have this here. We can be like, we can call it terms, conditions, yeah, which we can a little bit expand this way, so the grid helps you to position that very well. So now we can duplicate this, then we put it somewhere here. We say testimonials. Testimonials like that. So you find that we've positioned it in such a way that it is in line, as well as all the things I did aligned very well. So the testimonials, I think we can move it a little bit to be in the same position like how we have our contact positioned, somewhere there. We are good to go. So let's put something inside the body, or it could be some sort of text. So I'll come here, pick a few, I'll pick one, and I'm trying to, based on the grid, to see how best I can position this. So I can duplicate this, move it a little bit here. Then I do another duplication. Now with this duplication, I realize that things are not aligned very well. So I can move this to, then move this somewhat in the middle to see that it covers both ends. And then I have that as well. So with this, I can now quickly pick the text here and go to LM some again later. And I'll pick some text here I can use. I'll take this one, first one. So copy that, come back to the first one. I'll create a text in here and then I'll paste that. So as you can see, it goes across all these ends, but we don't want that. So we can come, drag it back into a position where we want it. Maybe tiresome task, but we might need only one here, and that will save us everything. So it is easier to drag it back, the text. So I'm bringing it back, and I want it to be in here. So now this is when I realized that it was so big. I can leave it as it is, but I'm going to just remove a portion of that, and then we shall have that. So then I can put another one here, and I drop that here, the rest. So and drag it back in. Okay, and drag it back in, and now you see that this one seems to be at the back. So I selected an option of bringing it to the front. So we have this here, have this here. So we can reduce the size of this so that we have it in a clear view. So now I can go back and remove this to have some visibility of my text. So I can just copy this text, bring it here, and now I have my screens. Everything is well positioned. So if you look at this and you don't like the way it looks, you can now do any adjustment to it. You can come here, you move the text to the right, you move the text either to the left, you center the text. That's up to you. You can move it to the bottom, middle, or the top. That's up to you. You can adjust all these pieces, or as well, you can adjust its color. So that's up to you. But given that this was basically to introduce Figma to you so that the rest you will explore, I'm going to make a copy of this by clicking there, and then I do a Control D in my screen. Then you see that I have two screens. I have the home and I have another called home, but I'll call this about. When I call this about, now you see here we have the about, we have the home. So this is the home, this is the about. So when you come to the about, I'm going to just make a few adjustments here. And those adjustments, given that the about speaks about people, so I'll select this, and then I'll try to move it a little bit down here. Then extend then I'll look for an ellipse, which makes it a circle somewhat. So I'll look at the width, I'll make it 120. Then I'll look at the height, I'll also make it 120, as you can imagine for the about. So now this one, I'll try to bring it to the front, and I'll give it a different color of red somewhat, not so red, something like that. So please forgive my designs, and I'll also adjust these cards a little bit. I'll give them a radius of let's say 4. No, that is not it. I'll give it a radius of 4. So you see that other sides they have some curves. Maybe I can give it something that will be really visible. You see that now they have some curves on the sides, and then it is here where the assumption is that we shall put the images of the people we are trying to talk about. So this one, avatar image. Yeah, so I work with this. I think this is basically for learning purposes. So it might be copyrighted, we are just trying to learn. Yeah, so we have this, we've managed to bring it in. Let's learn from it. It was so big. So now, apologies to the owner. Those are the vector art. So for learning purposes, I think there is some copyright there, but yeah, we are using it for learning purposes. Hope there is a license that allows for that. So now when we bring this in, yeah, I'm going to really shrink it. Then going to really shrink it. That is going to also force me, because I don't want to do a lot of editing. So that is going to force me as well to change my background color to white so that they match. Then I'll come and adjust the entire layer. From this, I'll put it at an F2, 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 so that we can tell. So this one. Now what I'm going to do to this, I'm going to just quickly duplicate it. Then lastly this. So this calls for me bring back my grid, and that grid will help me move this to a position that I can easily work with here, as well as this one. Okay, so now we have about a screen like this. So quickly, that would be enough for us. It gives us a clue on how we can do these designings. But what we are going to do, we are going to now see how we can quickly move to another screen as we try to share our demo. So anything that we've designed. So what we are going to do, you come here, you click on prototype, then you click on prototype, and as soon as you click on prototype, you come to we shall come to an option here. We shall have to quite the number of interactions here. We shall say on click to this. When we click this, we shall move to, there is that at the top that that shows how when you click on this, you drag that plus to where you want the screen to go. And then when someone comes here and they click back, you want this to bring them back to the home screen. So given that our implementation is so simple, so that's enough, but you'll be designing much complex applications or designs, and then this of course will help you to design. So as you point from any point, you can be able to navigate. So having done this, we are going now to click on this option to play. So this option of presenting will create a new tab, and then it will wrap our designs in the initial frame that we created, which was the MacBook Pro 14. Okay, so let's see how the design looks like. Quickly, it's loading. Yeah, so now you see we have the first screen, and then once we click, even if you click anywhere, it will tell you which button is clickable. All the buttons that are clickable, it will point to them. So it shows that when I click here, it moves to this screen. And when I click here, it will tell me that the home is active. So now I click, it goes back home. As you can see, this is how you can design your applications, then demo them. with your client or even with your fellow colleagues. Once you are in agreement, then everyone starts to design. So in brief, that's mainly about it when it comes to designs with Figma. This might not be the best design, but it helps to demonstrate what we wanted to understand. And then I believe now you'll be in safe hands to really embark on your designing journey so that we can now do the development of these applications. Thank you. That's it for today. I'll see you in another episode.